Welcome to the Upshot, Ulti-World Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me is Josh Mansfield, and we are heading into another playoff event, baby. Playoffs. MVP Open at Maple Hill, best course in the United States, one of the gems of the entire world, coming up on tour. And as always, we've got some fun stuff in store. We will get to that, preview the tournament, make our picks a little bit later in the show. I'm trying to go 4 for 4, Josh, in 4 straight tournaments picking the winners. I mean, I'm on a heater right now.
You are. I think this one is going to be really hard. I think picking Maple Hill for MPO is not going to be easy. It's a 3-round tournament. We've seen a variety of winners here in the past. I don't know, Charlie. I think your streak ends this week.
Well, I mean, that's big talk coming from somebody who hasn't been picking the winners like I have. But
I've been picking Kristin. Come on.
I will acknowledge that it's going to be tricky. Now, question. Are they opening us to 4 rounds this year? Because it typically has been 3 rounds, but I feel like I've seen that it's the 22nd to the 24th, or to the 25th, and that is indeed the case as I now check it on UDisc. So it's going to be 4 rounds this year. I don't really know if that makes it any easier to make your picks. And this is the rare single course tournament that is 4 rounds. Maybe the only one on tour? I'm trying to think.
I think so. In the past, was Glassblown open? Did that used to be a 4-day on just ECC?
Possibly, but that was kind of like before the modern era of like the new Pro Tour and such. So I don't know.
USDGC.
Well, yes, but that's a major. That's major, like Champions Cup too.
Majors. Yeah.
Just Pro Tour events.
Pro Tour event. I think this is the only one.
I think so. Anyway, we'll discuss it more in a bit. First, going to follow up on a few things from GMC. We didn't do the purse watch on Tuesday. We prepped it. We had it ready to go. We had discussed everything, and then we didn't talk about it. So let's go through it. GMC, here are your stats in the purse. $100,840 total purse. That's one of the biggest of the year. $58,000 in added cash. The only tournaments beating that out, Ledgestone, Worlds, and Champions Cup. So number 2 on the Pro Tour.
And the Des Moines Challenge.
Did the Des Moines Challenge have more? Why is that not on our list?
62.5.
Oh, there it is, right there. It's just
it's just above
right
Worlds.
in front
it got
of my
sandwiched between
eyes.
Worlds and Ledgestone,
and I don't see it. You're right. So Des Moines beats out GMC in added cash, but not in total purse. GMC's total purse was just a touch higher. $12,000 to the MPO winner, $8,000 to the FPO winner, and that's up 50% from 2021. Wow. So maybe that's the playoff bump there, Josh.
Yeah, it's also the highest single payout for MPO and ties Ledgestone for highest FPO payout for an Elite Series event.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Which basically tells you that they overweighted the win payout relative to other tournaments kind of at this same pay scale.
I wonder if part of that reason why is because it was a limited field. I mean, it wasn't super limited, but the registration was not just a free-for-all. Not everybody could register for this event. So that might be part of it.
Yeah, potentially. But certainly strong payout. Going to be curious to see what they do for Worlds next year. You know, Worlds came in at $200K this year. And as much as we talked about the fans in Emporia, it's going to be hard to get fans out to Vermont too. Because, I mean, as nice as the courses are, and I think it's going to be a destination. Literally, there's already people in the Ultra-World Disc Golf Discord booking their houses and their accommodations for Worlds. So if you're thinking about making the trip, you got to make sure that you book everything. Josh, you already got your place to stay?
I haven't yet. That's on my to-do list for this week. Yeah,
you got to get on that before
I saw it popping up on the Discord, and I'm like, all right, I better get this done.
But it's out there. It's remote. So if you're thinking about going, I would consider at least booking your accommodations now. There's plenty of refundable stuff. And, plane tickets can come later. Most of them aren't even on sale yet. Do you have plane tickets already?
No.
Yeah. It's. I don't even think it's possible to book this far out.
I don't think so either.
All right. So a couple other little notes from GMC. We got a question. We got a statement from Ryan, who just followed up to say, "I'm with Rick. Change the title of the most important major. Call it something other than Worlds. One event does not make a world champion." I'm not sure I have much to add to that, but people really sit on both sides of this fence, I think.
That's true.
And then Johan had a suggestion that I'd never thought about before, but it feels so intuitive, Josh. Johan asked, do you think the Pro Tour points champion, so whoever finishes first, let's say whoever finishes first at the end of this MVP, right, should advance directly to the DGPT Championship's final round? Because right now, Johan points out, it doesn't matter whether you place first or fourth in FPO or first or eighth in MPO. Everyone just gets a bye to semis. Would you like to see the points champion get to pass all the way through to the final round?
I think it's one of two possible solutions, because yesterday when we were going over where the point standings are, we said, not that it matters much, but here's Ricky and Kristin now in front. I think there are two possible solutions. Number one is you buy them directly to the championship final round. I like that idea, right? That they just get to compete in that final round, only have to do one round well. So I think that's an excellent solution. On the flip side, you have a fat payout for whoever finishes first in the point standings, right? The Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship pays out $30K, and the winner and whoever finishes in the top of the point standings gets $25K. And you just leave it how it is. There needs to be some incentive or reward to want to finish first and not sixth.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only, as far as I know, and well, we can find this out, but like as far as I know, the only real incentive is that like it accumulates you more points in all of the certain various postseason awards categories, but like that's not enough. I think you're right that there should be some sort of like tangible bonus of some kind. And I actually really like the idea of having it be a bye to the finals, because not only is that guaranteeing you some substantial minimum payment, even if you finish fourth,
True.
But it's also like this, it's like the boss battle in a video game, right? Like you have to advance, and then the best player on the planet is waiting for you, which I think is kind of fun. I just wonder if it's like, does it make it too easy for that player to win the tour championship?
I don't know. I would be interested to know like what golf, because they do the stroke. They give, what is it, like 10 strokes to first and 8 strokes to second.
I'm literally looking this up right now.
Okay. I remember looking when it happened, and I think it was like 10, 8, 6, and then a bunch of people got like 4, 3, 2, 1
it's
or
10,
something.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then down from there.
Okay.
So you get spotted a 2-stroke lead over the second seed, which is obviously an advantage, but I think it's less of an advantage than being able to advance an entire round in the...
That's true. But on the flip side, I'm curious. I'd be curious to know what percentage of time the leader in the FedEx Cup point series wins the championship. Which I think Charlie is probably pulling.
I'm looking it up. You can sense my. Gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to dig this out right now, but.
Yeah, no.
It's probably not as often as you'd think.
Yeah, I'm interested, because I'm curious to know if we did this. I mean, it would have to be a trial kind of thing where you see like if you buy this person to finals, what percentage of the time do they win? Because so far, I don't think our top seed has ever won the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. Based on my recollection, because we've got Chris Dickerson winning it twice, Kevin Jones has won it, Nathan Queen's won it. Isn't that the past 4 iterations?
God, Rory McIlroy is a beast at this FedEx Cup tournament. I'm going to look at the standings. So Rory won it, and he came in. Oh, this is just a play. I don't know, man. Golf's making it hard for me to find this information out.
Come on.
Man.
It's because they don't have Statmando.
So anyway, let us know your thoughts. Hit us up, upshot@ultiworld.com. What would you do? Do you think that they need to reward the points winner more, and how would you structure that? We'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter. Okay, now we need to talk about best FPO seasons of all time. We teased this on Tuesday, and I'm seeing a lot out there. Kristin Tattar having the greatest season in the history of FPO. Seeing it a lot. But I think we need to look at some of the other great seasons of all time in FPO, and we need to decide, do we think that this Tattar season measures up? And so, Josh, we've pulled some of the numbers, and we're going to look at some epic seasons from the past. And I think we'll start, maybe we go in chronological order.
I like that idea.
So we need to go all the way back first to 2001. Okay. Juliana Korver in 2001, pre-national tour. So we don't really have a total apples to apples comparison here because the number of majors varied from year to year, and there were no Elite Series events because that didn't exist yet. So I just filtered by A tiers. Okay. So there were obviously important tournaments, and those were the A tiers. And then some of those got elevated to the national tour 2 years later, starting in 2003. That year, Juliana played in 26 events that were A tiers or majors. She won 24 of them. She finished second at D-Glow. And she finished 50th at USDGC playing against the men. And she also that year cashed to become the only female player to ever cash at USDGC. It was truly an insane season. Okay. So she never missed the podium. She only finished outside of first place once. I mean, if you want to count USDGC, you could say twice, but I don't know. She won the Worlds. And the Worlds that year was in St. Paul, Minnesota, and she won by 7 strokes over Leslie Todd, and that was in that was the monster 7-round plus semis plus and then a final 9.
And that was the only major that year.
That was the only major for FPO that year.
Yeah,
U.S. Women's I think had not begun yet.
I think that's right.
So, Josh, that was a pretty good year.
That pretty good year. This is a hard season to compare relative to anything else. We didn't even have Elite Series events at that point. But man, to win 24 of your 25 events, I'm not going to count USDGC. To win 24 of your 25 events is just a level of dominance that, I mean, I don't know. I wonder how far back you'd have to go in an MPO season.
Really quick. I'm sorry. Quick correction. Yeah. It was 22 events, and she won 20 of them. And it's 21 if you don't include USDGC. I was looking at the wrong set of numbers, but
no, you're good. So 21 and 20. Yeah, and being, because I think what's really impressive to me about the USDGC stat is the cash line is based on percentages. It's based on top 40%. So it's not like everybody showed up at USDGC, except the bottom 10 people cashed. And this is a feat that it's notable. Paige and Katrina have tried to do and have been unsuccessful in doing. Granted, deeper field, of course. Yep. We recognize that caveat, but still, it's an impressive feat.
Very impressive. Yeah, and the quality of competition at the time is obviously just a different era, but that level of total dominance, I don't think we'll ever see a season like that again. I mean, that's history book stuff. Yeah, Hall of Fame stuff. And Juliana's still out there on tour playing well. Pretty amazing. Let's now go to 2006. Des Redding. She played. Now we have the national tours. We also had a large number of majors this year. 5 majors, although she also played at USDGC, so you could call it 4 for FPO. And she played in 13 events, 12 if you don't count USDGC, and she won 8 of those events. She never missed the podium. And so at the majors that year, she only won 1. She won the Worlds, but she finished second at the Players' Cup, and she finished third at US Women's and the Japan Open. So great season. Never missed the podium. Kristin Tattar never missed the podium.
Average finish was 1.5.
Yeah, pretty incredible. Yeah. What's next, Josh?
Des Redding actually claims the next one in 2007 as well. Backs it up with another incredible year. She had 11 starts with 9 wins for an average place finish of 1.27. And in that year, it looks like
she won 1 major that year. She won the Players' Cup. She lost Worlds. She finished second at Worlds. She finished third at US Women's. But I believe she won all of the NTs that she played that year. Yes.
It looks like the big knock on Des Redding's 2 incredible seasons is that she isn't as dominant at the majors.
Yep.
She wins every Elite Series, usually gets Worlds, which, again, I mean, that's only gets Worlds, right? But it is not as successful at other majors.
Didn't win Worlds in 2007. She lost to She lost to Valerie Jenkins, which foreshadowed an insane season for Valerie Jenkins coming up in 2008 as we continue down the list. 2008, Valerie Jenkins played 13 majors and national tour events, won 10 of them, and she finished 5th at the Greater Tulsa Open, which was on the national tour that year. That was her only finish outside the top 2. She, at the majors, there were a ton this year. There were 5 FPO majors this year. She won 4 of them. She finished second at US Women's. She did win the Worlds. So super dominant season, and kind of like announced that coming by winning Worlds in 2007.
We take a jump after that to Katrina Allen's 2016 season. And this season was, I mean, it's a really impressive season because at this point you're starting to see the level of competition rise. And, you know, you have the Paige Pierce. I consider, you know, Paige first won Worlds in 2012. And so this is well within like the Paige Pierce era and a time when Katrina and Paige were going back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
So in 2016, she had 12 starts for 8 wins, missed the podium only once, and an average finish of 1.5 as well. And so given that we know at the very least you had Paige in the field, right? So even if it wasn't as deep as we're talking today, to take that many wins away from Paige is an impressive season without a doubt. For the majors that year, she did not have great success in overall European Masters. She took 56.
Well, keep in mind that was back in the disc golf
the MPO?
World Tour, where they had single division tournaments, which was whack. And so there were really only 2 FPO majors, US Women's and Worlds, but she didn't win either of them.
Okay. No, second and fourth.
Remember who beat her in 16? Wasn't Paige.
Nope, it was Val. Val, that's right, because she won in Emporia. Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Val's so cool.
I mean, a very good season from Katrina, but I think probably from the ones we've looked at so far, the weakest, because she didn't win a major.
Yeah.
And, like, you got to win some majors, right? Okay, so this brings us now to the Paige era. Which year are we starting with? 17?
2017.
Okay,
yeah.
2017.
We've got 3 years in a row for Paige.
Majors and NTs. She played 10 majors and NTs. She won 7 of them. Subtract 1, really, because of USDGC. So she goes 6 for 9. Or 6 for 8, that is. And so she didn't win Pittsburgh Flying Disc Open. She finished second. and at the Hall of Fame Classic, she finished fourth. But she won all of the majors, U.S. Women's, Worlds, and the Aussie Open, and was dominant on the NT as well. So, like, we're talking about, like, this was one of those seasons where, I mean, when we were doing the Upshot, like, every week you picked Paige. It was, like, nonsensical not to pick Paige most of the time.
I think that's what's so impressive about the Paige seasons that are so incredible is that, it's to the point that you picking against Paige was ludicrous. It feels like that with Kristin now over the past month, but that was for an entire season where you just knew if you picked against Paige, you were wasting your pick. And it's one of those that you get the Paige fatigue, but there's just no reason to pick against Paige. It was a truly dominant season and one of her first of a handful that we're about to get to.
Well, so we have to jump ahead now to 2019. Where Paige was also fantastic. Now, notably 2019, this is basically the first year where the Europeans, Evelina, Henna, and Kristin, were over in the U.S. for part of the season competing. Mm-hmm. So I would call 2019 kind of the beginning of the like modern FPO scene. Now, where you draw that line is maybe a little bit murky, but I think the 2019 season was the most competitive FPO season that we've had until probably this year. Mm-hmm. Because even though Kristin played some last year, we didn't have all of the players back from Europe until this season. So you really have to jump back to 2019, and Paige was excellent. It wasn't as dominant as what we saw in 2017, but she still played US DGC. So if you take that out, she won 9 times in 19 starts. We have a lot more NTs now because we had both the National Tour and the Disc Golf Pro Tour at this point.
Yep.
And then we also had the majors. At the majors, she won 2 of them, Worlds and European Open. And she finished second at US Women's. She lost to Kristin Tattar. And that was the big, like, oh, wow, Kristin Tattar won a major. Because at the time, it was Evelina. Right? It was Evelina and to a lesser extent Henna that were the players that we were talking about coming out of Europe. And Evelina, I think, won a couple national tours that year. I think she won the Memorial. She was certainly like up in the mix, and then she went back to Europe and we didn't see her again. And then Kristin came for US Women's and won it. Mm-hmm. And it's a little bit of foreshadowing from what we would see now 3 years later. But still a tremendous season from Paige against a much deeper and stronger field.
Yeah, the 7 wins. What's incredible to me
is not 9 wins, not 7.
9 wins. Excuse me, 9 wins. I didn't have the majors on my list. The 9 wins. I mean, with that depth, that feels hard pressed to be matched moving forward. Just given the level of competition, Paige and Kristin right now both have 5. But 9 wins that's a lot. That's a lot of wins.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of wins. But that brings us to Kristin Tattar today, and the season that many are referring to as the greatest season of all time. It's a really good season. She has 5 wins at Elite Series events. Four wins and then a major makes it the 5th. And then, as we've talked about, she hasn't missed the podium. But in terms of the number of events, we only have 9 of them. So significantly fewer events. 10.
It's 10
with Champions Cup. Yep, 10 with Champions Cup. So there's only 10 events. She's won half of them. But even relative to some of these other great seasons that we've talked about, when you look at the win percentages, that 50% isn't even the highest. So even with fewer events, Kristin does not have the highest level of win percentage, the highest number of wins, the highest number of majors. I mean, all of those stats are beat out in other individual seasons by other players. Now, we have talked about the fact that this is the deepest field that the sport has ever seen. And we that has to have some credit for her. But given some of the other great seasons, this one doesn't quite feel like it's going to be, etched in the history books moving forward.
I think it's very impressive that she has not missed the podium. It's very impressive. Yes. Given the quality of competition right now on tour, to have 0 podium misses is incredibly impressive, along with 5 wins. It's a great season. But I do think we need to pump the brakes on the idea that this is an all-time... I mean, it will be among the best ever. But I think my feeling is if she wins out, if she wins MVP, she wins Throw Pink, and she wins the Pro Tour Championship, then you may have an actual legitimate argument that it's the best season ever. Mm-hmm. But right now what's happening is classic disc golf. People are massively overreacting to the last 6 weeks. This is exactly what happened last year. It's why Missy Gannon won the Player of the Year award. Ridiculous thing. And like, yes, Missy played great at the end of the season, but like, she wasn't the best player last year. I'm sorry. And Kristin, I think, has probably just about locked up Player of the Year at this point, unless Paige pulls off some real magic down the stretch here. But I also think that like it's still not quite to the level of some of these past seasons that we've seen, even in recent history. Like Page 17 to me is a better overall year than what we're seeing from Kristin right now. And again, there is certainly an argument to be made that like the quality of competition has risen enough that this season from Kristin, podium finishes are as difficult as wins were 5 years ago. That may be true.
Yes.
That there may be some truth to that, but I still think it's a great season, but it's not the best ever. But I think if she wins out, Josh, she might have a case.
She might have a case. I think here's the logical, the equation in my head as to kind of how that works. When you take in the depth of the field, it's kind of negated by the fact that she doesn't play full seasons.
Yeah.
Right.
So the fact that she missed a lot of tournaments this year.
Missed a lot of tournaments. And I mean, come on. We expect that, right? She's European. She doesn't come over for the entire time.
But
and there were things like injury.
I know,
and
but
COVID.
like you can't give people a pass for that.
No, absolutely not. And
Eagles
that's
not going to win Player of the Year, even though he's played awesome when he's played, but he's been hurt.
Yes. And my point is not to give her a pass. My point is the depth of the field is very quickly, I think, just kind of negated and counteracted by the fact that she hasn't played as many events. So you can just look at her numbers
as a direct comparison.
And not in a vacuum. It's a direct comparison because she just doesn't play enough. And so all those percentages that we've talked about, I think are pretty good comparisons, but you can't give her too much credit for the depth of the field. Now, if she had played the entire season, and let's say every other event that she played that she missed, right? It was something like 5 Elite Series events and a major and 2 majors. Let's say she plays all of those events and doesn't win any of them, but podiums every one of them. Now I think you have a really legitimate case, because if she podiums 20 some odd events in this field and wins 7 of them, now you have a case. But the lack of the amount of time that she spent on tour just detracts somewhat from the argument that, well, she's done it in a deeper field than ever before. Sure, but she's done it in a shorter season than ever before. Pretty interesting.
Let us know your thoughts. Upshot at old2world.com. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're talking MVP Open, and we're making some winning picks. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. Did you know that Pound makes more than disc golf backpacks? That's right. They've got beverage carriers. I've got one. They're awesome. They've got travel bags like the Fly Pack. You can even get a toolbox to have a practice bag in the trunk of your car, a fanny pack, packing cubes, and a whole lot more. Go to PoundDiscGolf.com and trick yourself out with Pound bags for every aspect of your bag needs. Welcome back to the Upshot. Time to talk about the MVP Open at Maple Hill. Remember, multi-million-dollar deal signed earlier this year for a 10-year sponsorship from MVP. And we had Steve Dodge on the show a few months ago talking about this ACE challenge that they have coming up, $1 million ACE shot. There'll be 8 players in MPO, 8 players in FPO that get an opportunity to go for this ACE. And if they hit it 600 feet down the hill over the water on hole 1 for MPO, 450 feet for FPO, 3 tries each. And if you hit it, you win $1 million. Josh, I mean, that's, you know, it's unlikely, obviously, but $1 million chance and get 3 shots at it. I mean, that's pretty sweet.
I think the 3 shots thing is what's so remarkable to me, because you often see like these halftime like shots and stuff that take place, and it's you get 3 shots, and if you make all 3, or you know, you get 1 shot for the astronomical amount. But giving these pros, it is unlikely, but 24 shots from the best pros in the world at a downhill basket, I'm glad I'm not the one paying for the insurance for this event. I'll say that.
Yeah. So the fan vote and the precise power index, which is a new stat from UDisc that kind of measures your ability to throw it far and accurately, will kind of be the deciding factor on the players that get to have a chance to go for it. It'll be Thursday night, 6 p.m. live on Disc Golf Network for the MPO, and then Friday night for the FPO. So that should be a fun little sideshow, and God, it would be really pretty cool. Here's a question, Josh. You think the players are all going to agree to split the pot if one of them hits it? It would be $125K each.
Maybe not split the pot, but something like, I'll give you each 50 grand, and then I'll keep the rest. Like I could see that being the likely agreement. What's more likely? Probably not everybody. It's probably groups of people. 2 or 3 friends who tour together, know each other well. They're going to say, "Hey, all right, if any of the 3 of us hit this ace, we're splitting it."
Well, when Matt Bell hit the $25,000 ace back earlier this season at DDO,
yes,
that was paid out by Eric. They had agreed. I don't know how much he ended up keeping of the $25K, but like all of the players who were giving it just shot right there had agreed to split it a little bit. So I think a bunch of people got a few $1,000s, and that was pretty cool. 25,000, but $1 million. It's nice, and it's like if somebody hits it, it's such great advertising for disc golf. Like that will get picked up in all the big news. ESPN all the way up, that will be a topic of conversation and a great highlight that will go on Sports Center Top 10, probably at number 1. Like you can dream. East Coast Metal Roofing is the sponsor. Oh man. So let's talk Maple Hill. This is a course that's well known at this point. It is just about as good as it gets. There's like very few holes that feel like they're a throwaway. You have an incredible combination of open shots, wooded shots, technical, bomber, this monster opening hole downhill over a huge lake. There's a lot of water involved on the course, which I love. You talk about natural OB. I mean, that's as good as it gets. And you have the shots over the water. There's great risk reward all over the course, and, elevation and natural beauty. I mean, it's just one of the most beautiful courses on tour. So, this is as good as it gets. I mean, there's a reason this event has become very popular, very prestigious, and that's purely because of how good the course is.
We've talked a lot about combo courses and how they should be paired together for Worlds, and the excellent job that Ledgestone does in doing that as well. GMC, another example. But when it comes to singular courses that are able to offer everything from distance to technicality to scrambling to landing zones to risk to reward to beauty, MVP delivers, and Maple Hill delivers that overall package. And that's what makes Maple Hill so special.
Yep. 4 rounds. You've got the pond jump at the end when, the winners get to jump into the pond. And, I think it's a cool little property because it's kind of tucked back into the woods. I think hopefully they've solved some of the like parking issues that have been a challenge in the past because there's really not a lot of on-site parking. But it's a special place, and they have a cannabis sponsor. How about that, Josh? Maple Hill Disc Golf. The disc golf course itself, I guess, is presented by Solar Cannabis. It's not in the title of the event. I think there's still rules around that through the PDGA that you can't do that. But let's update those. Disc golf getting cannabis sponsorships is like a very obvious thing to do at this point.
Yeah, it really is.
So, Josh, last year we had Adam Hammis win this tournament. I had completely forgotten that. And on the FPO side, why am I spacing it? It was Katrina Allen.
Katrina Allen.
Yep. So, we've seen lots of different winners here over the years. Paul Macbeth has been very successful here in the past. Paige Pierce has been successful here in the past. But, it does feel like a course that rewards who's playing well now. As a general rule, Adam Hammis last year was playing quite well. Katrina Allen was playing quite well. And so I think this is it's a course where you need to be able to have an all around skill set. But what I think that means is that you're going to see Kristin Tattar have a real advantage out here because she's been showing that skill for not only playing at a high level for the last 6 weeks, but also showing that she can do it in a lot of different ways. Once again, what's the number for Kristin Tattar this week? Is it Kristin Tattar by 4, by 5? I actually think it's going to end up being tighter than that. So I would take the under. If we want to add a little over under, Kristin Tattar margin of victory.
Okay.
4.5 strokes.
4.5.
So it's like basically, yeah. So if she loses, obviously the under would pay out.
Yeah. At 4.5, I'll probably take the under. Actually,
take the under.
I think 4.5. Yeah, just by pure odds, like. Walking it in at the end, there are holes near the end that she probably could choose to go a little lower on and just take some bad strokes if she's far enough ahead in order to avoid high risk. I'm gonna take the under on the 4.5.
Okay, she's covered that number a lot lately, but we'll see what happens.
It's true. The one thing I'll add about Kristin Tattar at this course though is Maple Hill feels. And I don't want to say this in like a negative way, but it feels very played out, meaning I think that there's a pretty clear, here's the best game plan to Maple Hill. You just need to execute. And then if you are off that and don't execute, how well do you scramble? That is a different than GMC. It's different than the World's courses. It's different than Winthrop coming up, all of which I think have variations of game plans, especially for the FPO side, that allow Kristin's decision-making and planning that have been her strongest feature over the past month to really shine. I don't see Maple Hill as a course that's going to reward that skill set as highly. It really does come down to the execution of game plans that have been well played out at these courses. So everyone's going to be shooting for the same landing zones, playing for the same style of golf. It's just a question of execution. I think Kristin Tattar is executing better than anybody else, but I'm not convinced that she is going to have the outsized advantage that she's had at recent courses.
Yeah. So ticket sales. The gold ticket, the sort of like highest level, it's a $180 ticket. If you also want VIP parking, it's $300. Those have been sold out.
Wow.
They have sold out the men's lead card rope line ticket. So like if you want to follow along with the card, kind of like the traditional, what we call the VIP ticket at a lot of these events, those are sold out. And literally all of the tickets for Saturday and Sunday are sold out. All the individual tickets. So if you want to go on those days, you have to buy a 4-day pass. They still have some of those available. $100 for a general admission ticket for the 4 days. $140 for the silver ticket for the 4 days. The silver ticket gets you all the general admission areas plus hole 8 if you want to sit back and try to watch some aces come in. So
that's what I was wondering about, what the 8 holes.
Yes, the 8 holes. You got to get the silver ticket.
Honestly, not too bad. I thought they were going to just charge me. You probably could charge $150 just to go be an 8 hole for the entire week or for a day. Like, I think that is premium seating right now because of just the culture and the environment around the 8
It's only
holes.
$25 for a daily silver ticket. That would get you the whole 8. $20 for a general admission.
Okay.
Then Friday it's $20 and $35 for a silver ticket. And like I said, the all the tickets for the weekend are sold out. It was $40 for a silver, $50 for a gold on Saturday, and it was $60 for a gold on Sunday. Yeah, totally sold out. Totally sold out. So pretty interesting.
Yep.
The skins match, they're selling tickets to the skins match. Love that. It is going to be happening. Well, by the time this show airs, it will have already happened. It's Wednesday. We're recording this Wednesday morning. It will be Simon Lizotte, Calvin Heimberg, Aaron Gossage, and Bradley Williams. For $60, you can watch on watch the skins match. You get a disc, a 1-hour meet and greet with the players, and then the VIP experience of following the match. That's kind of a cool concept.
That's not terrible. I mean, signature, it's like special discs run $25 anyway.
Yeah, it's $40 if you don't want the disc.
Okay, yeah, it's not a bad deal.
Yeah. All right, well, I think it's time to get to our picks. And this is the last regular season picks of the year. So, Josh, I'll let you decide. You can go first or second in both categories. You can choose what you want to do because you are behind in the race. I have accelerated with 10 plus points each week for 3 straight tournaments because I've been picking the winners.
Yeah. So I really need some perfect podiums, I think, to catch. I haven't done the math yet, but I think I need some really, really strong podiums. Charlie, I want you to go first in both MPO and FPO.
All right.
Because I need to change my picks a touch based on what you give
Okay,
me.
here we go. In third place in FPO, I have Missy Gannon. She's played here in the past, and it's the late season. We've seen Missy looking really sharp lately, and I think that for me it was like Missy or Own in this spot, and I went with Missy. I certainly think it could be Own, and we'll see what happens. In second place, I'm going with the Europeans at the top. Let's not bury the lead. Henna's playing out of her mind. I actually think she has a pretty good chance to win. I am taking her in the second place spot, though, because I think over 4 rounds, it's a little tougher because the averages start to play out for your putting over 4 rounds more so than over 3. And I think that's obviously a net negative for her. I have Kristin Tattar winning. I just don't feel like I can pick against her right now on the course like this. She just carved it up. Yeah. And at GMC, and I won't be blown away if somebody like Henna wins or if Paige has a great weekend. Even Katrina, although she's just been a little bit out of form. But how do you pick against Kristin right now? I don't think you can.
I'm not going to make any changes to my picks on FPO. I've got Henna Blomers in third. Same reasons, playing well. I think her distance here is going to help her excel. It's just the real question of can she keep the putting together. My second place is Owen Scoggins, also playing well, but in just an overall rating, I mean, she has just demonstrated an incredible level of consistency that I think 4 rounds at one course that really benefits strong execution is just, that just screams Own to me. There's no long course, short course. There's no, distance disadvantage at 2 of the rounds. It is one course. She just gets to play her game, and I feel really good about Own this weekend. I think the development of her having a strong forehand and backhand combo is also going to be a big deal out here as well. But my winner, I wish I could pick somebody else because I want the points, but I just don't think you can pick against Kristin right now. It's crazy. It's crazy to pick against Kristin. In points, she is 12 points ahead in rating over Paige and just has not lost in a month. And so it's hard to think that anybody else is going to take it from this weekend.
I agree. All right. So then over in MPO, I'm going to go with Matt Oram in third place. He did not finish far off the podium here last year, and he's just been dialed. I feel like he's carving lines through the woods really effectively. We saw that at Brewster, and I think he's going to be able to continue to play well. I mean, gosh, could this be the one that Matt Oram wins?
Maybe.
I wouldn't count him out. In second place, look, here's what I'm calling. All right, you ready for it? I'm calling a Paul-Ricky battle for the points winner on the Pro Tour. Ricky overtook Paul.
All right.
And is leading him by 23 points approximately. Okay? So I got to do the math really quick. If they finish 1-2, so I'm taking Paul Macbeth to win this tournament. He's won it before, and I think he's going to feel motivated to win that Disc Golf Pro Tour points leader spot.
Don't forget the 1.25.
I am doing that now. So it would be 106.25 if you finish in second. So basically, if Ricky finishes in second, Paul can't pass him. So I basically am saying Paul's going to win the tournament. Ricky's going to finish second, but Ricky will hold on barely by the skin of his teeth. He would lose. Paul would pick up about 18 points, almost 19 points. And that would not be quite enough.
23.
He needs 23.
Okay.
So either way, should be really exciting. I think that's definitely something to watch this weekend is, can Ricky hold on? Can Paul steal it back? He'll probably have to finish about 2 spots ahead of Ricky, depending on where they finish in the leaderboard, in order to take away the win. But Ricky can guarantee himself first place with a first or second place finish. Now, I guess the question is, if he ties for second, then I think it's possible. Yeah, because this past weekend, there was a 3-way tie for second, right? Was it 3-way?
Uh-huh.
I'm just checking really quick. Yes, there was a 3-way tie. Each of the players got 95 points. That was about 30 points less than Ricky's 125 points. So if there's a tie,
but that's a 3-way tie.
Then there's a chance that if Paul won, he could still take over. But
so if it's a 2-way tie for second, Ricky will earn 100 points even.
Is that right?
I think so, because second and third is usually 85 and 75. So you add them together, it's 80, and then the 80 times the 1.25 multiplier comes out to 100.
Yes.
So Ricky has to get solo second
guarantee,
in order to keep first. If Paul wins.
There you go. There's the facts.
Okay. There it is. A little bit of excitement there. All right. Dang it. I was also going to pick Paul Macbeth to win. I am not going to pick Paul Macbeth to win because I need points desperately. So I'm going with a little bit of a switch up here. In my third place, I've got Chris Dickerson.
Okay.
And he played well at GMC. And I know he's had a slow season, but it's really the idea of players. I mean, Chris is a strong player, and over a 4-round tournament at a course that last year he wasn't great, but has played well here in the past, I think you see him regress to the mean. You see over those 4 rounds, it rewards high-level players. And I think that's going to be Chris Dickerson this week. My second place now is Paul Macbeth. This is sheerly out of my desperation to get points at this point. I really like Paul for this weekend. He's won it. He had a streak of winning it like 3 years in a row and then lost it to maybe 2 years and lost it to Conrad by 1 stroke the year before. So, I mean, he's a strong performer at this tournament. And over 4 rounds, every time you add an extra round, I like Paul Macbeth for that tournament. My winner now, out of desperation, is Calvin Heimberg.
Wow.
This is a gut feeling. Calvin has been, especially since Ledgestone, I mean, even at Ledgestone, 10th place at Ledgestone, since his D-Glow win, He's got 10th at Ledgestone, 35th at DMC, 6th at Worlds, 14th at GMC. Not a strong resume. But there's just something in my gut that wants me to pick Calvin this week. And maybe it's, I don't know what it is, but he is a guy who can turn it on any weekend.
True.
And if he is able to play his game, be smooth, we've seen him as good as anybody. And I think back to Champions Cup and the 4 rounds at Champions Cup, he was able to take 3rd place. I think there's a lot of comparability between WR Jackson and Maple Hill. And so I'm going to give it to Calvin this weekend.
He's played here 5 times, and he's finished 3rd, and 4th, as well as a couple of worse finishes. But the last 2 years, he was 4th and 3rd. So I think, no, he clearly plays well here.
He does.
So
not in form right now, but I'm hoping
it's a spicy pick. It's a spicy pick, but you need a spicy pick.
I need some spice if I want to get any points this weekend. Yeah, that's MVP. It'll be good. Come on, Calvin.
All right. So reminder, what are we watching for this weekend? You got to watch for the races at the top of the leaderboard. You've got Ricky versus Paul for the 1 spot. And yeah, Calvin's just too far back. He can't do it. And then over in FPO, you've got Kristin and Paige for the 1 spot. Theoretically possible, I guess, for Katrina. No, I don't think it's possible.
No, it's not.
Paige would have to win, and Kristin would have to play pretty poorly for Kristin to not win at this point. But it's still worth keeping an eye on. Paige is 65 points behind Kristin approximately.
So at 125, it would be like Kristin needs to
DNF,
finish outside top 10.
It would have to be like a very poor weekend for Kristin. Hard to see that happening. The other things to watch for, I think the most interesting thing on the FPO side is who's going to get the spots to the bye to semis. So right now, Valerie Mondahano on the outside looking in, Missy Gannon on the outside looking in, Owen Scoggins and Katrina Allen are on the good side of the line. But Owen Scoggins is only about 7 points ahead of Valerie Mondahano. So that's going to be a battle.
Yeah.
On the MPO side, you have the same kind of battle between Matt Oram and Kevin Jones at the margin. Joel Freeman as well, maybe in that conversation. And then I think we got to talk about who could get into the play-in. Right, that's probably the most interesting note. Right now, Thomas Gilbert, Gavin Babcock, Luke Humphreys, Linus Carlson, and Chandler Fry all seem like reasonable options to be able to make a push and get in MPO. And over in FPO, at the bubble, you've got Kona Panis, Macy Vela Diaz, Juliana Corver, Rebecca Cox, Madison Walker. That's probably the list of players who would have a chance to overtake. So should be fun to watch, Josh.
Yeah, it'll be good. There's something else we're going to be watching on Sunday night, Charlie. Prime time, Denver Broncos, San Francisco 49ers.
I can't wait.
It's going to be good. We were looking, the odds have kind of gone back and forth as to who's the favorite. Right now, San Francisco is a slight underdog. I don't know if I agree with that.
No, the Niners are actually now a slight favorite. They're -1.5.
Oh, they're the slight. They're the favorites.
They opened as a slight underdog, and
got it.
The bettors have been coming in on San Francisco, so it's moved over to Denver now, a slight underdog. But I think we just put a straight up heads up bet here, Josh.
I think so too.
I have a pitch for you on the punishment for the loser.
Okay.
If your team loses, you have to change the lock screen of your phone to the opposite team logo or like some kind of packet. Maybe the winner can choose. And you have to have that through the rest of the NFL season.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I hate that. But you know what? It's not sitting in a Waffle House for 24 hours. So I'll take that.
Okay, great. We'll do it. So your Broncos 49ers coming up this weekend. Any final thoughts on MVP, Josh?
Yeah, I think the biggest additional thought I'll add, given that this is a very unique circumstance where it's an elite series at one course for 4 rounds, it's going to play very differently in terms of the ability for people to make pushes, in terms of what we're going to see hot rounds. There's no, oh, well, let's wait till we get to the next course where that we know someone can tread. If there is a player who is playing consistently well over that course, the course of 3 days, they are going to look really good going into the fourth. The odds of this comeback story, a miracle chase by Chris Dickerson at GMC, I mean, those things I just don't expect to be nearly as prevalent. I wouldn't be surprised if both divisions have winners by a handful of strokes. Just given that if you are playing consistently well at this course and shooting 1 or 2 strokes better than the rest of the field, you're going to win by 3 to 4 strokes, pretty quickly, given that it's over the same course. So
looks like there could be some rain on Thursday, but then it looks like it will be pleasant the rest of the weekend. Not a lot of wind to speak of. Oh, actually, it might be a little windy on Friday. It looks like. Who knows how much it will be windy up in the woods, though. So, weather shouldn't be a huge factor. Cooler temperatures. It's fall in the Northeast at this point, and we set the stage for the Tour Championship. So we'll break it all down and make sure that you sign up for a subscription to Ultiworld Disc Golf so that you can catch our Rapid React show on Sunday live in Discord following MVP. So we'll see you there.